Ponch, and I still work for GerritForge, I hope. And yeah, I'm gonna talk about 4 new features that has been added to the Owner plugin since August this year. So Owner's plugin, what the Owner plugin does is defining the ownership of files to review, right? It's an old plugin. It's been there since 2013. And something to notice that there is a bit of confusion between owners and code owners. So the Owners plugin is nothing to have with the code owners plugin. There are 2 plugins which do similar thing, but yeah, they are independent. The changes I'm gonna talk about, they were introduced in August this year. And they're available from 3.4. The first change, disable owner computation by branch. So it's possible in the plugin to define regular expression to disable the resolution of prolog rules, because as Luca was saying, prolog rules are a nightmare and they can be really heavy computational-wise. So you really don't want, for example, to apply the prolog rules to your refs metaconfig. It might not make sense, or the sandboxes branches. And this is defined at global level. The second feature I'm going to talk about is a REST API that we added to the Owners plugin. This API exposes the owners for each file and some label information. So basically, here, as you can see, the first part of the JSON is a set of user associated to a particular file with their user ID. And then you have another section with the label which has been voted by each user. What this API could be useful for? You can do, for example, you can extend, for example, your UI and add a table like this where you have a snapshot of the files in your change which are still pending some reviews. So that could be something that you can work on UI-wise to display better what's missing for that particular change to be submitted. Also, it would be nice, as I was saying at the beginning, owners and code owners, there are 2 different plugins. The code owners plugin definitely has a way better UI compared to the owners one. So it would be nice if we could take the best of both worlds. So the backend of the owner plugin with its power is rich functionality, and plug it in the UI of the code owners. That was actually on my wish list for the next hackathon. And the third feature that we added is the possibility to disable the group expansion. Basically, if you use some submit rules, the Owners plugin adds in a UI a custom label. In that custom label, I see people in the audience are laughing. That custom label, you basically have the list of all the users that needs to approve that change. The thing is that in the definition of your owners file, you can also specify a group. But by default, what the user plugin does is expand totally the group. So if you have a group with 100 people, basically you're clobbering your UI. And so that's why basically we added this feature. So there is this new setting, which is expand groups, which by default, to keep backward compatibility, we still expand the group. But still, at least now you have the possibility of disabling it. And this is still a global setting. The last feature we've been working on is the possibility of having an owner's plugin per project. So it means that if you wanted to, for example, a project owner could specify a particular owner file that has to be applied to the whole project, right? So you can enforce some particular rules in your project and leave the final user to add and reach that particular ownership rules that you implied. So you can have a bit of the best of both worlds. You can totally delegate to the user to define their ownership strategy. You can just keep you as a project owner the ownership of deciding the owner's definition, or you can do a mix and match, basically. The other nice thing about that is that the owner's file will follow the inheritance of the project. So potentially, you could apply an owner's plugin to the whole project itself, and the cascading of the project inherited from our project will have this owner file defined by default. So lots of flexibility there compared to how it was before. Okay, so the other question were like, I wanted to understand what's the how many people use the owners plugin, how many use the code owners plugin, and who doesn't use any of them. And basically, we have 43% of basically all the people using an owner plugin, they're using the owners plugin and not the code owners, basically. Thank you very much.